Welcome, everybody. I am so excited today because for our guest this week, we actually have the person that I trust with my brand photography, Kristen Hume. So maybe a little bit confusing. We have Kristen, me, Kristen, her, Kristen, and then your company name.
It's Kristen and Chris.
Kristen and Chris. So lots of Kristenness happening here. But I'm so excited to talk to you, Kristen, because we have had so many requests come in actually specifically about brand photography. So like, I think people know by now, like, here's what I bring to, if I'm going to get headshots for like a job or maybe getting like family photos done. But I think the idea of brand photography intimidates people, especially when it comes to their website. So super pumped to have you on today.
Yes, I'm excited.
Cool. And fun fact, guys, if you don't know Kristen's work, it's all over Unsplash. Like we reference Unsplash a lot as a resource here at Weeknet Website, and I feel like I'm always seeing your photos on ads.
It's funny. It's whenever I first started doing that, I actually didn't realize that it was so used by startups and entrepreneurs. And so it's fun to see my work everywhere now.
Everywhere. Yeah. So like published in Forbes, I guess. And
yeah. You're like, cool.
Amazing. Cool. Okay. So here are some questions we have for you. As a community, we've kind of compiled what we've gotten from people and just had a few of our own. So first off, can you just explain the difference? Like, what is different about a brand photo shoot versus like if I was going to go get Christmas photos taken or something like that? Like, what are things I have to think about differently?
Yeah. Well, first of all, a brand photo shoot. Well, okay. So whenever you're doing a normal photo shoot, it's always around a special event or maybe like a relationship that you have if you're doing like engagement photos or family photos. And a lot of my work that I do is actually revolved around weddings. And so that's more of a documentary style, which is amazing. But when a brand photo shoot comes to play, what you really want it to be about is it really is like all about you. And so first of all, if you're watching this and listening, I want to tell you, you've got to get over your fear of being in front of the camera, because as a brand, you are representing your company. And so people want to see you, they want to see your face. They want to know what you're all about. And so with a branding photo shoot, it is representing not only you, but what your brand fully encompasses. And so whether that's you're an artist and you want it to display you doing work, or you're a musician, like it's in you in your element, but also like your personality. And so it has a lot to do with it. It's not just documenting a moment, it's actually encompassing everything that you are as a brand.
Yeah, you have to think, I guess, more broadly about like what images are going to convey more than just like I'm in love, but like what people feel about you. That's what I'm hearing. So it's like if you're an artist, your brand photo shoot should probably be of you making art and like of you and your art, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And people love to see just like behind the scenes. They love to see you and your I was reading somewhere earlier and it says like a branding photo shoot, your photos should like actually brand people's like hearts and minds for like who you are and what you do. So whenever they see your photos, it's every time they see a photo, it's branding their like mind a little bit more of who you are and what you represent.
So cool. And you talked about getting comfortable actually being in front of the camera. I know, we didn't really talk about this, but do you have any tips on that? I bet you do.
Oh man. Well, it's funny because I can give these tips all day long. And then the second I get behind the camera, I'm like, no, don't look at me. Like, how do I put my hands and all the same things that my clients tell me. I would say the biggest thing is like, just have connection with your photographer. Like go get coffee beforehand. If you're super nervous, like learn that they're actually a human too. And they're not like judging you. They're not like when I'm behind the camera, like my job is to capture like who you are. And the more comfortable you are with your photographer, the better. And so I feel like the biggest thing I've learned as a photographer is how relational photography actually is. And so the more I get to build connection with my clients, the more successful the shoots are as well. And then just like practical tips, I would say like wear an outfit that you actually feel good in. Don't try and like pull off some new look that you've never tried before. Wear something
that.
Yeah, and you're like, I feel so weird, and you don't know what to do because you're not being you. And so especially with brand photography, you want to dress and you want to look how you look in normal life. So don't try and be crazy with what you're wearing and how you're representing yourself. So just be comfortable in what you wear and how your hair is and how your makeup is, and things like that. Or for dudes, like just guys, I feel like trust the photographer whenever they're telling you what to do with your hands or with your face or turn your head this way. It's just trusting your photographer mainly.
Guys can get so awkward, I think. I've seen guys doing photo shoots where it's like, wait, suddenly their hands feel so huge to them or something. Okay, so you talked a little bit about like being comfortable with your photographer. So where, I think that, a common misconception that I hear a lot from my clients when they're like looking for a photographer is that any photographer can take their photos, but I think, you and I know that styles can be different, all of that. So I guess it's like a 2-in-1 question, but how do I pick the right photographer for me, and where can I find them? Like, is there a place where I can just go find photographers?
So this was like interesting because I've never actually searched for a branding photographer specifically, but I actually am kind of on the hunt. So someone to take pictures of me and Chris. But I would say number one is just like Instagram stalk the heck out of people. If you see, like, for instance, if someone went to like weeknight websites, Instagram, and they saw pictures that like I took, like use those pictures and then reach out to whoever like you like their pictures, reach out and ask them who took their photos. And so there's some photographers that I love that they have branding photos of themselves. And so I would reach out to them and ask them like, hey, who took your photos? Like, those are amazing. I want to replicate that style or that like connection that it seems like y'all had together. So I'd say just like be bold, reaching out to people. People love referring amazing photographers to other people. Like, I love getting to tell my friends, other photographers that do amazing work. It brings me so much joy. They get business because of people connected to me. And I'd also say, not all photographers can do the same quality of work. But I also want to say, if you're like just starting out and you like don't like have a multi-million-dollar company, like you may not need to hire a photographer who's charging thousands of dollars to do a branding photo shoot. Like, start small, and you may just find someone who's like is just starting out and needs to build their portfolio, and you can use them and help them grow their business at the same time as you getting really quality photos in the same way. So find a photographer who's kind of at the same level that you are in your business to really help you build your business, because honestly, you have to have photos that represent your brand, especially with everything being online and photos and videos being so valuable to booking clients these days. So it's not if I have branding photos, like you have to have them.
Yeah, I 100% agree with this. And, I think that the thing that I see trip people up the most on their websites is that they're like trying to edit bad photos into banners and hoping that it's kind of going to work out, or like hoping that maybe if they like do something graphically, it'll make the photos look better. But in reality, if they just had a great photo, it would save them hours upon hours of time. I mean, I spent like 4 hours on a banner yesterday, and I'm a professional designer. So I can tell you guys, like, this will save you so much time to actually invest in brand photography. So I love these tips so much.
Yeah. And whenever I say, I have one more comment about that. Whenever I say to like find someone at your same level, like that doesn't mean getting your like 12-year-old cousin to like take pictures with your like point and shoot camera. Like that means someone who is like starting a business and like you've seen some of their work and you know it's like quality, like the resolution is high, the style is still what you like desire to have in your photos, towards not creating more work for you to be like, hey, can we actually like do this all over again or whatever. So yeah.
Well, as somebody that, you know, doesn't have that like photo speak down, maybe like what are some ways that we can communicate our vision? Like if we are like, hey, I really know what I want, but I don't really know how to say it. Like what helps you as a photographer to help us, know how to get what we want out of you?
Yeah. So I would say like, it's just like whenever you're doing like a whole like rebrand or something like that, like any kind of photo inspiration or creating a Pinterest board revolved around what you desire, like that helps a lot give us as photographers ideas and vision for what you want, because we're not mind readers. And if we don't have a kind of direction in photo shoots like this specifically, it's kind of like we're going to do stuff that we're like, oh, this is amazing and this is my vision for your brand. And something that helps with that is like us knowing like location is huge for branding photography, because you can there's like a million different areas you can be in and like to represent different brands. I would say like knowing the colors, knowing just like the editing style even. I know some photographers will change their editing style to match the brand that you're going for. If it's real bright and poppy, they'll change their editing style.
So we gotta show you like, hey, I really just like a Pinterest board basically.
Exactly.
Like bright and poppy style. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Like a little different than what you normally do, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say, I think this is a later question, but creating a must-have shot list for your photographer, even if it's just like 10 photos, like I want a photo of me looking at my laptop, looking down at the keyboard. Like if you can get those 10 photos, like that's super helpful for a photographer as well.
Yeah. And honestly, guys, actually, I'm just kind of coming up with this on the spot, but we will totally, Brittany and I will make you guys like a cheat sheet of like for your website, this is probably what you want. Because I know that from a design perspective, a lot of times I'll get photos back where it's like a person full body in the center of a shot. And as a web designer, it helps me more if people have like space next to them, you know? And a lot of times people don't think about that in planning their shoots. Photographers are, you know, obviously just thinking about the best composition in general. And so even kind of knowing like, hey, we're going to need this for this use, I think is really helpful. Right?
That's so good.
Yeah. So, okay, these are just like practical stuff, but like I want to talk about like props, location, style, like I don't know, all that stuff. Okay, do you normally choose that stuff? Do I bring things? Like I know this is very practical, but like I've definitely been wondering myself at times, you know?
So location first. I would say location is very, very important for photos because it's literally the backdrop for every photo that you take. And you can do multiple locations in a photo shoot, and that's great. But yeah, I would say at times it's tricky with branding photography because a lot of times you think like, oh, let's just like pop into this really cute, trendy coffee shop in Austin and we'll just take photos and no one will care. And we don't need a permit and we don't need to pay anybody. And sometimes that's the case, but a lot of business owners who own these coffee shops, they actually require you to pay and for you to reserve kind of an area and for you to have like a permit and a license and all this stuff. And so it can be a process. And so just be aware of that when you are like dreaming up of ideas of like talking to your photographer, reaching out to these coffee shops. And sometimes they're really chill and they're like, yeah, whatever, which is great. But a lot of times they do require some sort of payment. But at the same time, there are tons of free spaces, or even like finding a cheap Airbnb that it's like $100 a night, but it has like all these cool different spaces in like this cute little tiny home or whatever, you know? And so you can get super creative with having amazing indoor spaces for your photo shoots. But I would say it's kind of like half and half. I would say people really want my suggestions, but they also have a very distinct vision that they want. And so it kind of ends up being their call of where we go, and and stuff like that. And then as far as props go, or do you have any more questions about location?
No, I think that was
good.
Amazing.
That's
That
good.
was a really good answer.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything. Yeah.
And then some brands, it's like you just need pictures of yourself, like in a more natural like element. Not everyone's on their keyboard all day. You could be selling like outdoor adventure gear, or whatever. And so in that case, the options are endless. You can go outside and take pictures everywhere. And then as far as props, like the more the merrier with that. Like literally bring anything and everything that you could potentially post on Instagram a photo of. Like literally it's like, oh look, headphones, like I listen to music. Let me get my photographer to take a really cool artsy up close photo of these headphones, because I have a podcast coming out and
that is
listen
real.
to it. Like literally it doesn't matter. Like if you it's so real. Like you always need these stock photos, but it's to where it's an original photo where you're not having to go to Unsplash or to buying like stock photos. You can actually have your own that's original and people haven't seen before. I did a photo shoot with a girl who was selling essential oils. It was one of my favorite shoots. So cool. And I posted a picture on Unsplash of her dropping the perfect little droplet of essential oil into her hand. It's like this perfect droplet. And I'm telling you, that picture is literally everywhere now because people who are selling oils need stock photos like that. But I'm like, that girl, like she has a whole gallery full of pictures just like that are just of her. I didn't post all of them on Unsplash. But it was just like, it's cool because you can literally bring anything and everything. And also like you being a web designer, like having a cool shot of headphones or whatever, it's like you can use that as a banner or as whatever for their podcast tab or, whatever. It's very helpful for website stuff.
I will tell you guys, having a photo with just like this kind of microphone, I'm going to pick it up. I hope I don't like destroy the sound quality, but like just having an image with a podcasting microphone or headphones, it's so hard to find non-cheesy, brand consistent photos of those things. And nowadays where like everyone has a podcast, I feel like I need them every website and I like never So yes, help your people out. And obviously too, like, I mean, we have a lot of artists in our group and some of them like, not to like tear anyone apart or anything. That's not what we're here for. But sometimes like people are like, hey, I'm an artist. But the first photo of them is like not really related to, you can't really tell what it is that they do or who they are or anything like that. So it's helpful, I think, probably to have like guitars or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. Awesome. So what, I'm like looking through our little questions list. Okay, so in terms of like what to wear to a photo shoot, I know you said like to be comfortable. I mean, okay, so I have my own little tidbit, but I kind of want you to add on to this. So I know being comfortable is important. I also know that like as a designer, it helps me when people already know their brand colors and follow the line with that when they're choosing clothing for their photo shoot. So if you have like 4 colors that you know that you're going to be using on your website, I know that if you could just like match that color with like your shirt or some sort of element like a belt or anything like that, it is so helpful. But Kristen, do you have any other like tips of like what looks good on camera or anything like that? Are there certain colors that look better than others?
Yeah, I would say what you said for sure is very, very good. I would say maybe just don't blend in with your background. Like if you have, you have your colors for your branding. And if we're going to a all white coffee shop, maybe don't wear an all white shirt or dress or something, have something that pops a little bit. And I would also say like the biggest thing is like just bring little things that you can throw on, you can change real quick throughout the photo shoot. So it doesn't, all your photos, you're not in the same outfit. It doesn't like, if you change locations, maybe you can do a full outfit change, but even just bring a sweater to throw on or like throw your hair up real quick or something just to have a little bit of a different look for your photos. So it looks like you have a branding photographer just waiting for you to take pictures at random days of the week.
So
Yeah. Yes. So I would say that like just have different options, and even talk to whoever is helping you with like your actual branding, and like even ask them for suggestions of like, hey, do you think these colors would work well, even if they don't fall under your exact, you know, color scheme that you're going for, and just make sure it will look good on the website and stuff.
That's a great point, because it's true. Like, not everything has to be so matchy, but if it's in the same like color family, or if you look on the color wheel and it's like the opposite, it'll still look good. So yeah, that's a great point. Amazing. Well, okay. So the last little thing, we touched on this a little bit, but how do I make sure I get all the right shots for my website? We talked about this a little bit, but I don't know if you can expand on that at all.
Yeah. I would say, so I know that y'all have, whenever you're building your weeknight website, you'll have the roadmap thing that you're supposed to create. I skipped that part. I got too excited, but it's very helpful. I did it a little bit. I would say even when you're like doing that, like just write down kind of like what you envision for those photos to be, and like how you want to tell your story. And so when people are going to your website, they want to feel like who you are as a brand. And so writing down like, hey, like when people first come to my website, like for me, I changed my whole website and rebranded everything to where it's my husband and I both together, Kristen and Chris. And so right when they come to our website, I wanted it to be a picture of us two looking cute, doing something. And so when they come to it, they can feel like our connection, and they're like, oh, we want them to take photos of our wedding day, you know? And so I had that in my mind. And so whenever I was with my photographer, I was like, hey, I want this cute photo. It's going to be the cover of my website. And so I had a vision for it. And then from there, it's just like telling the story. And so just write down stuff, even if it sounds silly, like you're writing down literally hands on keyboard, like write it down, and then just have a list, and talk to, if you're doing your own website, like that's awesome. You can like just brainstorm stuff, or even like going to other websites that you think are amazing and just taking ideas from them of like how they told their story, or photos that you really like or don't like on their website. So
I love this. So like really planning the photos based on how like your goals for your website, like that makes so much sense. So like while you're planning your content, just think about photos, and then you skip a whole step of like even having to like edit stuff, because it's like, oh, well, this is where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Kristen, you are amazing. I love your work, obviously. And where can people find you if they're in the Austin area, if they're going to fly to their city or something?
Yes. Yeah. So I would say you can find us on Instagram. That's where we're most active. So it's just Kristen and Chris. It'll be somewhere in this video. And then our website is kristenandchris.com. We have a Facebook.
Kristen, Christin.
Yes.
Like
yes.
The opposite of mine.
The opposite. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's where you can find us. And then yeah. And if you have any questions at all, like feel free to reach out or anything like that. I'd be happy to, or also if you want to see galleries of branding shoots I've done, I don't have them up on my website right now, but you can reach out and I'd be happy to send them to y'all to show you what I've done.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Yeah.
Yay, Weeknighters. Well, we would love to hear from you. If you have any other questions about your brand photo shoot, anything we didn't cover, please leave it in the comments below. And we will see you back next Friday for our next weekly webinar. Thank you so much, Kristen. And thank you for watching.